Is your local business or organization looking to give back to the community? Help keep our roads clean by joining the Adopt a Road program administered by Keep Tampa Bay Beautiful. Keeping our roads clean is a great way for team building as well as exposure for your business. Select the road your business wants to adopt and dispatch a team to remove litter and debris. Participants will receive 2 signs showing their organization's name as well as safety equipment and instructions for cleaning roads. You can help keep Tampa Bay beautiful by adopting your own road today. To learn more, visit hcfl.gov/cleanhc.
These are the jobs you may not see every day, but just know we're working hard to make Hillsborough County a better place to live, work, and play. Subscribe to our YouTube page for more great county-related videos, only on HTV.
Don't let mosquitoes ruin your day. Fight the bite by removing standing water on your property. Standing water of any kind is a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Do your part and help reduce the mosquito population.
Visit hcfl.gov/fightthebite.
Good evening and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners Comprehensive Plan Amendment Public Hearing. The Board of County Commissioners will consider the adoption of amendments to the future land use map of the comprehensive plan, as well as concurrent applications for rezoning and for a major modification or plan development zoning for the properties. I'll now ask the Planning Commission staff to begin introduction of the first item.
Yes, sir. Thank you. For our first item, A1, we have Ms. Jillian Massey presenting the item. Thank you.
Good evening, Jillian Massey with Planning Commission staff. I'll be presenting on HC CPA 24-21, which is 9317 Gibsonton Drive. This request is privately initiated, and it's a small-scale map amendment. It's made up of 6 parcels that total approximately 11.94 acres. The request is to change the land use designation of these parcels from Suburban Mixed Use 6 to Community Mixed Use 12. The location of this plan amendment request is in the southeastern portion of the county. It was part of the April 2024 cycle. It's located in the urban service area and within the limits of the Gibsonton Community Plan and South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. This is an aerial photo of the site outlined in pink. It's located on Gibsonton Drive and bound by Old Gibsonton Drive to the north and Interstate 75 to the east. Surrounding uses mainly include single-family residential and the Alafaya River to the north, single-family to the west and southwest, Interstate 75 is to the east, and single family is further east. To the south, there is light commercial and strip retail, including a large Walmart plaza and the movie theater. Further south, there's also single-family residential. This photograph is taken facing east towards the subject site from Gibsonton Drive. This is a photo taken north of the subject site from Old Gibsonton Drive, where you can see some of the single-family residential development. This photo is taken directly west of the subject site from Gibsonton Drive. And this photo is south of the subject site from Gibsonton Drive, where you can see that there's light commercial uses, including a shopping plaza, a movie theater, and a Walmart. The subject site is in the suburban mixed-use land use category. It allows for consideration of residential, suburban-scale neighborhood commercial, office uses, research corporate park uses, light industrial, and mixed-use projects. Neighborhood commercial uses are subject to locational criteria. Surrounding land use categories include suburban mixed-use 6 to the north and south, residential 4 to the west, and residential 6 to the southwest. There is one pocket of community mixed-use 12 in the northeast quadrant of Interstate 75 and Gibsonton Drive. The request is to change the site to community mixed-use 12, which allows for consideration of the same uses as suburban mixed-use 6, but introduces the consideration of community-scale retail commercial. Commercial uses are not subject to locational criteria under this designation. This slide outlines the potential impacts of the requested land use change. Currently, under the suburban mixed-use 6, the site can be considered for up to 71 dwelling units, or approximately 260,000 square feet of non-residential uses. The floor area ratio in this category ranges from 0.25 to 0.50, depending on the proposed use. The change to community mixed-use 12 would allow for consideration of up to 143 dwelling units, or approximately 260,000 square feet of non-residential uses. The proposed amendment will increase the potential residential density and introduce consideration of community-scale retail commercial uses. The proposed plan amendment has been sent out to all of our reviewing agencies, and we've received no formal objections, and all of those comments are in your packet for your reference. Planning Commission has reviewed the proposed amendment and has found it to be consistent with several goals, objectives, and policies in the comprehensive plan. Objective 1 of the future land use element discusses directing 80% of the county's growth to the urban service area. Associated policies under this objective, as well as in the community design component, discuss how that growth is to be compatible with the existing development pattern. The policies under Objective 16 discuss protecting existing neighborhoods and communities and those that will emerge in the future. The site is proposed to be in a mixed-use land use category, and Objective 19 discusses how all development in mixed-use categories shall be integrated and interconnected to each other. Lastly, the proposed amendment is consistent with goals in the livable communities element, specifically in the Gibsonton Community Plan, which aims to improve and enhance its neighborhoods and develop appropriately scaled commercial development, and the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan, which aims to maintain housing opportunities for all income groups, as well as analyze, identify, and market lands that are available for economic development. And based on these considerations, Planning Commission found that the proposed map amendment, HCCPA 24-21, is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated comprehensive plan.
All right, thank you. Will the applicant come forward?
No.
Which one?
We're on A,
Yeah, we're still on this. Yeah.
right here.
Let me see. Oh, it's more to the PowerPoint. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's theirs. I was the next one.
Okay, but you're A2, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, we're still on A1.
I'm sorry?
I said
Well, it was A1, but that's the counties. I was the other one.
Oh, okay, let me see.
Mr. Chairman and board members, Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451, St. Petersburg. I'll keep this short. Ms. Massey, who always does a very good job, presented this to you very well. I'm going to go through just a few slides here. The site is very intensive. Site is noted in the middle. Walmart, AMC, large shopping centers, commercial. It's right at the crux of I-75 and Gibsonton Drive, which is incredibly intensive. There is single-family residential to the rear. Under zoning, we have a letter in record from that association who are in support. I'll go into that more detail during the zoning process, but we work very closely with that neighborhood, and we've made major changes on the zoning side, which I won't go into, but we do have that element of support. And as Ms. Massey indicated, if you look at the future land use categories, SMU 6 is a very intensive category. That's what we are now. We're bumping up a little bit to CMU 12, which you can see is on the other side of I-75. So it certainly is compatible and consistent in that manner as the Planning Commission found. And as well, the Planning Commission Board also voted in support. And as she also indicated, in regard to the future land use, they've been contacted by no citizens in opposition in that respect. So in regard to the Planning Commission's detailed report, we appreciate your consideration, and we'll be happy to move forward to the zoning when you're ready. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. This public hearing, anyone like to speak to this item? Okay, we'll defer voting on this item until after the major modification. The staff need to introduce this item.
Yes, Commissioners, the next portion of the agenda is the rezoning application for this item A2. It's major mod application 24-0691. It's rezoning the rezone for a major modification of a 11.87 acre parcel that's located at the corner of Gibson Drive and Old Gibson Drive in Gibsonton. The request is for a major modification to the PD that change the mixture of uses. Currently, the PD is approved for 3,600 bank retail, 88 room, 42,800 square foot hotel, and 34,975 square feet of office. The change would change it to 4,508 square foot fast food, 100,500 square foot mini warehouse, and a 21,170 square foot office development. Staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it inconsistent. Hearing officer recommended approval, and I would note that there was an addendum to the report to underline condition 4 in the report to denote that this is a new condition. So we made that correction, and staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The applicant, come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451, St. Petersburg. I do have a PowerPoint for you. If we could pull that up, please.
PowerPoint?
There we go.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is Major Mod 24-0691. This is a major modification of an already approved plan development. So this is approval for the zoning side, where you just saw the future land use side. What's proposed is maximum of 4,500 square foot fast food, maximum 100,000 square foot mini storage, maximum 21,000 and change square foot offices. So it's an increase of square footage, which again is a change from the existing plan development. Under the zoning application, the zoning department supports, transportation supports, ZHM supports, neighborhood association supports, but the Planning Commission, where they support the future land use amendment, are not supporting the zoning, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. The companion comp plan amendment we've already spoken about SMU 6 to CMU 12. We are in the Gibsonton area, on Gibsonton and I-75. You've seen this already, but want to make sure that you see that, again, under the zoning, we're at the same location, same issues. And again, I've showed you the intensity in the immediate area, both on roadways and uses around. Now, the currently approved plan is bank and retail, 88-room hotel, 10 office buildings. That's from '07. We look at the zoning map, complies pretty much with future land use categories that we looked at already. So when we originally submitted this plan, we submitted it for mini storage, 3 multifamily buildings, and 1 drive-through. We then held a neighborhood meeting, and this is a very important circumstance, Commissioners, in which the neighbors had significant concerns. They wanted all the multifamily out, they wanted office in, they wanted better wetland management and increased screening. And we went back to the drawing table and we met all of those concerns. So we radically changed the uses and the plan specifically for the association that is impacting to the rear. We also included a 10-foot multi-use trail along Old Gibsonton, which is really nice amenity for pedestrian citizens and such. So with that, Michelle Panetta, on behalf of the Alafaya River State community, in this letter to you notes, we are pleased with the revision to the plan, removal of the residential, you address the environmental concerns, respect or address the screening in terms of their preference for berms, trees, and shrubs, and we are very happy to gain that from them. Another important element on trip comparable, we have the approved uses versus today's proposed uses is a reduced number of trips of 679 per day. Your staff has it at 552. In either case, it's a pretty significant reduction of trips. Looking at the Gibsonton Community Plan, that plan does call for enhancing opportunities for small business professional on Gibsonton Drive, which this does now. Designates Gibsonton Drive as a signature corridor to encourage small-scale business development, which this will. They are small business units. And walkability strategy to ensure incorporation of sidewalks, which we've had, and we've improved those as I just indicated to you. And this is the 10-foot trail that will runs along the site and office uses as shown here. Planning Commission notes in the report, they do know it's compatible and consistent, meets the intent of Objective 19 of Policy 19.1, meets the policy direction of the community design component, which I just reviewed some with you, meets the intent of the community plans, and includes appropriate setbacks, buffers, and connectivity. But the Planning Commission did get caught on just, I'm not speaking for Ms. Massey, they got caught on just one policy of many, many, many dozens and dozens, which was at odds with your transportation department in regard to access points. So we are, of course, always go towards public safety, and we went in regard to public safety to make sure that there were no issues in that regard. So it was kind of one department versus the other, but we always appreciate the Planning Commission's work. So virtually with all the recommending agencies, Department of Support, impacting community and support, due to significant plan changes, the many improvements over the currently allowed plan, located in intensive zoning and use area, tremendously reduced trips, meets a lot of the Gibsonton Community Plan objectives. We appreciate your consideration and ask for your support this evening. Thank you.
Okay, is there any proponent testimony? Anyone in opposition? Please come forward, sir.
Hello, my name is Reginald Meesemer. I'm the president of Meesemer and Associates Incorporated. We're an engineering and planning firm at 4738 Central Avenue, St. Petersburg. I'm here at the request. Pardon me. I'm here at the request of Circle K LLC.
Sir, can you hold on one second? Joanna, do you want to?
Are you the legal representative for
I'm not
Circle
a
K?
legal representative. No, I'm a traffic engineer.
You are not a party of record that I have in my records. Did you participate in the process by submitting any material into the record of the zoning hearing master? And I don't have you as having attended the ZHM.
Attending what?
The zoning hearing master hearing.
No, I did not. I applied here as a speaker through your online process to be here in person, and I submitted some documents yesterday, 24 hours before the beginning of this hearing.
Unfortunately, sir, you are not qualified under our land development code process, which requires you to have appeared at the zoning hearing master or place material into the record prior to the zoning hearing master in order to participate at this meeting this evening in regard to the rezoning.
Okay, so procedurally, I'm not allowed to speak.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in opposition? Good evening.
Hi, my name's Roseanne Hammock. I did attend the zoning hearing. I am the senior property manager for Circle K. My address is 3802 Corporex Park Drive, Suite 200, Tampa, Florida. We don't object to the project, we just object to the median that's going to be, or the traffic separator. On Old Gibsonton Drive due to safety issues. We've had an engineer look at it. As you can see, the traffic separator on Old Gibsonton, our fuel tanker trucks used to enter into our site that way and exit off of Gibsonton. With the traffic separator, they won't be able to enter that way, so they'll have to enter onto Gibsonton Road instead of Old Gibsonton. And they will not be able to exit on Old Gibsonton because it's not going to be wide enough, as you can see from that picture. So our concerns with the project are safety concerns with that traffic separator, and we'd like that to be addressed. So the only other option would be for the tanker truck to go around the canopy in front of the store to exit, which is a safety concern. So we need something done on Old Gibsonton Road so it's safe for customers and the community.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We'll address
Thank
that
you.
in a moment. Anyone else in opposition? Applicant, you have an opportunity for rebuttal.
Can you pull that up again, please? Pull that up. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there are no changes occurring on Old Gibsonton, which the lady spoke about, other than public safety concerns that were directed by your county engineer. The county engineer directed that separator, which we locate in the center of Old Gibsonton. So there's no reduction of lane width of any kind. It's going to be the same width that it is today. There's no changes. The only change is the direction from your county engineer that we will install and pay for is the traffic separator because of public safety issues. Michael, do you want to, this is our traffic engineer. Michael will speak to it for a moment. Thank you.
Good evening, Michael Yates with Palm Traffic. I'm going to put this on the overhead. This is Old Gibsonton Drive. This is the driveway we're talking about. And you can see from here what's occurring out there is that trucks are coming off the pavement and making...
So, Commissioners, this is Circle K is located
Speak in the
here.
microphone.
They're exiting here.
Mr. President, speak in the microphone.
So just to orient you, this is, Circle K is here. They're exiting here. This is Old Gibsonton. This is the project site here. Go ahead, Mike.
So what's occurring out there today is that the vehicles entering the Circle K on Old Gibsonton are going off the road, off the pavement, and then coming across and coming into the site. And that's creating an operational issue and a safety concern when we met with county staff. So in that review, the solution was adding a traffic separator that will eliminate this from occurring off the road. So in doing the separator, we're going to have to put in the separator in the middle of the road, widen the pavement on the east side. So we're actually going to widen the road. You can see from this tracking here, this is what's already occurring out there. They're already going off the roadway. So when we come in for a plan review, we can look and see if between us and the county, we can fix that issue, but it's already occurring. It's something that's already happening today out there based on the travel patterns. But happy to answer any more detailed questions, but just wanted you to understand what was occurring out there.
Okay, thank you.
Could you restate your name for the record, please?
Michael Yates with Palm Traffic.
So to place emphasis on Old Gibsonton, which was the concern that was raised as I understood it, there are no changes in terms of width of that roadway. It will be the same conditions, but will be safer because of the traffic separator. We're happy to answer any other questions you might have.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Planning Commission.
Jillian Massey, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is currently in the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use designation and pending a comprehensive plan amendment to community mixed-use 12. It's in the urban service area and located within the limits of the Gibsonton Community Plan and South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. As we've discussed, the 2 main access points are located on Old Gibsonton Drive, which is a local road. This is in direct conflict with future land use element policy 16.5, which describes that the development of higher intensity non-residential uses near established neighborhoods shall be restricted to arterials and collector roadways. The site also has frontage on Gibsonton Drive, which is an arterial roadway. Although the current entitlements of the planned development from 2007 allow for access on this local road, Planning Commission staff must rely on the existing policy direction, and the current proposal is inconsistent with future land use element policy 16.5. But overall, the staff finds that the proposed uses are compatible with the existing development pattern found in the surrounding area. However, in direct conflict with the policy direction regarding the roadway location of these uses next to established neighborhoods. And based on these considerations, Planning Commission staff finds that the proposed major modification is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan.
All right, thank you. Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered the proposed major modification to Plan Development 07-1310. The subject property consists of 5 folio parcels with approximately 11.87 acres of unimproved land located on the north side of Gibsonton Drive, west of I-75 off-ramp, and at the northeast quadrant of Old Gibsonton Drive and Gibsonton Drive. The applicant's request is for a major modification to allow 4,500 square foot fast food restaurant with drive-through window, a maximum 100,500 square foot of mini storage facility, and 21,175 square feet of office space. The zoning hearing master noted that 3 persons spoke in opposition to the major modification and raised concerns related to traffic, a proposed median divider structure on Old Gibsonton Drive, and the need for roadway improvements, including turn lanes at the intersection of Gibsonton Drive and Old Gibsonton Drive. One of the opposition speakers was a representative of Circle K Stores, which owns and operates a convenience store with gas pumps located west of the subject property. The representative testified the median divider proposed to be placed on Old Gibsonton Drive east of the Circle K parcel will impede the access point for vehicles entering the Circle K parcel from Old Gibsonton Drive. The zoning hearing master noted that aerial views available on the property appraiser website show the Circle K parcel having 3 access points, one on the west from Pravat Street, one on the south from Gibsonton Drive, and one on the east from Old Gibsonton Drive. The zoning hearing master noted that Hillsborough County Transportation review staff stated no objections, subject to the conditions set out in the transportation review comment sheet and the Development Services staff report. Transportation review staff found that the proposed major modification would result in a decrease in the number of trips to be potentially generated by the project. The zoning hearing master concluded that the proposed major modification would reduce the number of access points on Old Gibsonton Drive from 3 to 2 and would substantially reduce the number of potential vehicle trips generated by the proposed development compared with the existing entitlements. The zoning hearing master found that there is competent substantial evidence in the record to support a finding that the proposed modification, including 2 access points on Old Gibsonton Drive and no access points on Gibsonton Drive is compatible with and furthers the comprehensive plan's goals, objectives, and policies, and further found that the proposed major modification is consistent with the Land Development Code, and the zoning hearing master recommended approval.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
Thank you. Same issue as yesterday or 2 days ago, Adam. What can we do to leave this open-ended on the median so it cannot negatively impact the already existing business?
Well, Commissioner, I just want to point out, this is a little bit different of a scenario than the one the other day, and I think you heard Circle K even say that they're using that, they want that full access so their trucks, when they're leaving, can actually cross over the center lane and into the oncoming traffic lane. So it's a little bit different situation. I'll note that the Circle K also has an access on Gibsonton Drive itself and an access on Pravat that allows them a full turning movement. So I just want to note that it's a different situation. I do think it is a more significant safety matter than was the one on Double Branch.
And we're sure that that a semi can easily access it from those other 2 points?
We believe that they can, and it certainly, as Mr. Yates pointed out, there's area on either the right-of-way or the Circle K site itself to change their on-site turning radius so that the trucks leaving won't have to cross over into oncoming traffic.
Okay. I'll move for approval then.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Wilstel. Do we have a second? A second, Commissioner Cameron Spada.
Yes, so when I heard them speak in opposition of this, I was concerned, but then that picture was really awesome to show, what's really happening there. They said there was going to be no reduction of the lane width, and also, as he mentioned, that there were currently operational issues and safety concerns, but with that picture and showing where there's going to be improvements, I think it's going to really make it much better there. So with that, I will support this.
Okay, so we got a motion by Commissioner Wilstel for adoption of CPA 2421. Second, Commissioner Miller. Please record your vote.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Now, if we can have a motion for Major Mod 240691.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Wilstel. Second, Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote. All right, next item.
Yes, sir. For the next item, A3, we have Ms. Jillian Massey making the presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jillian Massey again with Planning Commission staff, here to present HC CPA 24-22, located at 421 West Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This is a privately initiated map amendment that's small scale and approximately 4.25 acres. The request is to change the future land use category from residential 6 to suburban mixed use 6. This is a general location map. This amendment's part of the April 24 cycle. It's in the urban service area and within the limits of the Seffner Mingo Community Plan. This is an aerial of the site. It's located east of Parsons Avenue, north of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and west of Kingsway Road. The subject site is currently vacant, and there's vacant land directly to the west as well. Single-family and multifamily uses are to the north, west, and south, and light commercial and public, quasi-public, and institutional uses are to the south, east, and west. Here are some photos of the site looking west of the subject site towards Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This is looking northeast of the subject site. Again, looking northeast shows an existing oil change shop use, one of the light commercial uses in the area. Looking east of the property towards Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Currently, the future land use category of this site is residential 6. Other future land use categories shown on the map include residential 4 to the north and south, residential 9 to the west, and public/quasi-public to the east. The applicant, again, is requesting to change the future land use designation to suburban mixed-use 6. This slide outlines the potential impacts of the proposed change. Currently, under the residential 6 designation, the site could be considered for up to 25 dwelling units, or approximately 46,000 square feet of non-residential uses, subject to locational criteria. Under the proposed future land use designation of suburban mixed-use 6, the applicant could be considered for up to 25 dwelling units, and the non-residential uses would result in a different development potential depending on the use. So there's a range in floor area ratios from 0.25 floor area ratio to 0.50 floor area ratio. So potentially a maximum of approximately 92,000 square feet could be considered. The proposed amendment would result in an increase in density, and it would introduce suburban scale commercial and light industrial uses. This application was sent out to our reviewing agencies. There were no formal objections to the request. The application was reviewed by the Planning Commission and was found to be inconsistent with the following objectives and policies of the comprehensive plan. Policy 1.4 requires all new developments to be compatible with the surrounding area, noting that compatibility does not mean the same as, rather it refers to the sensitivity of the development proposals and maintaining the character of the existing development. Amending the site to suburban mixed-use 6 would introduce uses that are too intense for this area. The suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category designates areas for suburban and urban density and intensity. Typical uses are residential development, suburban scale neighborhood, commercial, office, research, corporate park uses, light industrial, multi-purpose, and mixed-use developments. Some of these types of uses exist surrounding the site. However, light industrial and open storage are not found within the general vicinity. The proposed future land use of suburban mixed-use 6 would not allow for a transition of uses in accordance with policies 16.2, 16.8, and 16.10 of the future land use element. The proposed request is also not in line with policy direction under the Seffner-Mango Community Plan. And based on these considerations, Planning Commission found that the map amendment HC CPA 24-22 be found inconsistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Applicant, come forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. As like the last item, I'm going to flip around here a bit to stay with the future land use, which is a companion, 2422, from R6 to SMU 6, located in the Seffner-Mango area, right on MLK Junior Boulevard. And when you look at this area, you'll see right away that there's a lot of intensity in the immediate area. And what's very important is that you'll see abutting on the east is a mini storage warehouse, a Dollar General store, an auto service store, and a plant nursery. So it's a very intense site as it surrounds the use that's proposed. These are just a few pictures of those uses. The corridor is very intensive. Underlying zoning is very intensive, including CI and CN and CG, all along that corridor. The overlay future land use category is R6, which does allow suburban commercial, office, multi-purpose, and mixed use. And we'll talk about the zoning in a little bit, but the zoning staff did find the site as compatible and supportive. I think what's really important under the Planning Commission, and this is important, this is not a complaint, it's how the Planning Commission does business, but part of my job is to make you aware of it. We've added a lot of restrictions to only a specific use, which I'll talk about in zoning, but the Planning Commission does not consider those, does not review those, does not deliberate those, does not evaluate those. That's just the way they choose to do business as they look at a future land use category. But I want to make you aware, as you're evaluating the future land use category now, they do not consider far-reaching restrictions and conditions that we have under the zoning, which include one use. When you look at the Sefner Mango Community Plan, this is a very important finding. Directs that commercial development should be directed to the US 92 and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard corridors. Nowhere else in the Sefner Mango Community Plan is that directed, and we're on that arterial roadway. Under strategies, again, placing emphasis, recognize the commercial character of US 92 Martin Luther King Boulevard in the urban service area. Again, that's the route that we're on, and the Sefner Mango Community Plan directs specifically to just those two roadways. And a third strategy, which we think applies, is infill development and redevelopment within the urban service area while providing compatibility existing uses. So I would say, with the greatest respect to the Planning Commission, again, it's not a complaint of any kind, but without considering the restrictions that you're here, we don't believe that you can in any way fairly and completely review the future land use category. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. That's a public hearing. Anyone like to speak to this item? Okay, we'll defer voting on the, oh, please come forward.
We were not sworn in, sir. Are we supposed to do that?
I think that's for the next item.
I'm sorry, I have a cold, and I hope you can understand me, but I'll hand this in so it'll be on the record. So this is, we're only talking about the CPA at this
Yes.
time? Or we're speaking about the whole situation?
Just the CPA.
Well, I go along with the zoning hearing master recommending denial, and the Development Service based their approval on the CPA amendment change being approved for SMU 6 category that includes CI uses. And the zoning hearing master also wrote her recommendation on the SMU 6 being passed. And when the CPA hearing occurred, the Planning Commission ruled the request for SMU 6 as inconsistent. At that time, on November 19th, I think it was, the zoning hearing master recommended for denial. So that's, everything else I have to say is about the zoning, but I don't know what you think is the zoning and what it is. So I'm just gonna do the whole thing, okay? Mr. Hagan?
I'm going to defer to the attorney on what you can state right now.
Ms. McComas, if you could just wait a moment, we'll be on the zoning. You'll have the opportunity to speak to the
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you can state your name for the record.
I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. I should know that by now, Mr. Hagan. We've only been doing this for 22 years together.
You're right.
Grace McComas, 8050 Old Darby Street, Sefner.
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Okay, Mr. Pressman, you have a 3-minute rebuttal, if you want to use it.
Did you say rebuttal, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman?
if you want to use it.
I'll wait for zoning.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, again, we'll defer voting on the amendment until after the related rezoning. Staff, you need to introduce it.
Commissioners, the next item is agenda item A4. This is current rezoning item 24-1023. It's in the 4.2 acre parcel located on the north side of Martin Luther King Boulevard in the Sefner Mango area. The request is rezoned from RDC 6 and CN to commercial intensive with restrictions. The restrictions are concerning limiting the use to one specific use of contractors off with open storage with a maximum FAR 0.30, building design requirements for the building, and then additional buffering and screening regarding 6-foot fence around the entire property, and then 30-foot buffering along the adjacent to residentially zoned properties. Based on the concurrent SMU 6 future land use plan designation request, staff did find this project compatible with the surrounding development pattern and is recommending approval with the restrictions offered up by the applicant. Planning Commission found the request inconsistent and the hearing officer recommended denial. Staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Pressman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. This is application 24-1023. If we could pull up the PowerPoint, please. Thank you. Rezoning from CN and RDC6 to commercial intensive restricted. The use is restricted to a contractor's office with open storage, with residential appearance and additional buffer and screening. Zoning staff supports, transportation no objection. We've had no opposition from any neighbor nearby. The nice young lady who spoke and speaks at a lot of hearings, I certainly happy to have her comments as she came up, but I do make you aware that she is not a nearby neighbor. She is a concerned Gibsonton citizen, which is perfectly fine, but I just think there's an importance for you to know whether she is an impacted neighbor or not. So in that sense, we've had no opposition from immediate residents. I've done 93 multiple homeowner notices and 1 HOA and 39 multiple zoning notices. So we have noticed this site many, many times for many people, along with big yellow signs. So we are in the Steffner Mango area, as you're aware. This is the site per the property appraiser. I showed you that there are intensive uses on the entire east side, which are very intensive commercial uses, including auto storage. Not auto storage, but auto service, which, as you can see here, the auto service and the Dollar General convenience store. And then right next door is a storage facility, which is similar to ours, although we will have outdoor storage in regard to a contractor's office. Looking at the zoning, it's CG next door. There's CN and other commercial categories along the corridor. And the entire corridor is very intensive, as you can see. It contains commercial characters all along that corridor. I've indicated to you what the current future land use category is. Now, your zoning staff in the report tells you the surrounding area is occupied by light industrial uses. The property fronts on Martin Luther King Boulevard in a commercial corridor with light commercial uses zoned CG and CN. That's from your zoning department. MLK itself is a major arterial carrying 20,400 vehicles per day per the 2020 count, and it is a principal state arterial roadway, so a very intensive roadway. Under your under your comp plan, one important element is policy 2.1.6 to actually offer incentives for higher land use densities and intensities along transit emphasis local service corridors, which this certainly applies and meets this category. There are tremendously reduced trips. This is another important finding because of the use compared to the zoning. From your staff report from transportation, it would be a reduction of 2,498 two-way volume trips. In the AM peak, it's a reduction of 195 trips. And the PM peak, reduction of 113, again, from your transportation staff department. I did hold a community meeting. I only had 2 nice folks show up. That was after noticing 93 multiple homeowners. So the restrictions that we have is that the only use would be a contractor's office with open storage. It will have to have residential appearance with a lot of elements of residential factors. That actually came from the Planning Commission as I was working with them. The zoning likes that as well. Building being finished on the rear with 3 sides, faux brick and stone, faux residential style windows. Project completely enclosed by an opaque vinyl fence and buffering and screening provided per the LDC code. We're also adding on the 2 sides that are residential, a 30-foot buffer. This is not the scale, but an additional 30-foot buffer of natural and existing forestation. As you can see, it's very dense and thick. It's many, 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 many times beyond what would be called for by code. We'll leave that in place, which provides a higher, thicker, and denser buffer. Just some of the improvements or restrictions would be elements of this nature, just to give you an idea. And again, I have to emphasize, without complaint and with respect to the Planning Commission, these restrictions were not considered or reviewed or deliberated or included in their evaluation. The Planning Commission, they evaluated this under Res 6, which we're asking for a different category. There was some time differences in terms of their review, but they do note that light industrial uses and heavy commercial uses are in the immediate area, as zoning indicated to you. Light commercial uses are prevalent. To the south across Martin Luther King Boulevard is light commercial, public quasi-public institutional uses, and a CSX railroad right-of-way. Sited across the street, you can see the railroad that runs all along that area. As I've indicated to you, the Seffner Community Plan designates only 2 roadways for these type of intensities. I won't go through those again. So, Mr. Chairman, with the Zoning and Transportation Department's support, with tremendously reduced trips, similar abutting uses, no direct neighborhood opposition, strong restrictions, high-level zoning along the corridor, and community plans, we think this request is approvable. I do want to make a note about the zoning hearing master. I do make an exercise to always review the zoning hearing master and make comments, but I do have to say my evaluation in this particular circumstance, I didn't see any conclusions by the ZHM that I could really address. She listed factual elements presented during the hearing, but I did not see anything in conclusions that I could address or consider to discuss with you. So with that, we appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? Okay, Ms. McComas, opponent testimony? Now the clerk can swear her in when she comes forward.
Grace McComas, 805 Old Darby Street, Seffner, not Gibsonton.
I think the clerk's going to swear you in
Ma'am.
first.
I'm over here.
Oh, you
Yes.
need me?
Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you, ma'am.
I guess I can't see, I can't hear. Okay, Grace McComas, 805 Old Darby Street, Seffner. Mr. Pressman told you in rebuttal that I do not live in the impacted area. This is true, but I live in Seffner, and this is my neighborhood. As one of the framers, I am here to support the Seffner-Mango Community Plan in our community. The future land use element directs staff to proactively direct new growth to the USA. The BOC members frequently have stated future residential increase will occur in the urban service areas, and residential is essential with the predicted increase in people moving here. Not every newcomer will have an income that will allow them to purchase a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $800,000 homes, which they are in our area. More affordable housing and rental properties like the duplexes, et cetera, proposed for this district that would preserve the transitional and suburban style of the urban service area must be available. The current FLUE protects this land with specific residential use. We need to honor this. The property site is surrounded by residential and commercial neighborhood businesses that support and benefit the residential properties. A contractor's office with or without open storage does not support the residential area. There are no CI or SMU uses in this urban service area. FDOT made it clear the property would not have locational criteria for a driveway on State Road 574 and would have to have internal cross-access to the parcels to the east or west. While Seffner Mango supports infill, not every piece of land has to be commercial. Not every project has to be granted a higher density or given allowances not yet in the future land use plan. This application is inconsistent with the FLUE Objective 16, inconsistent with the Seffner Mango community. Goal 2 discourages commercial encroachment into the residential areas. Mr. Pressman kind of misrepresented Goal 3. Goal 3 states that we support light industrial uses west of State Road 579. That's the entrance to I-4 road. SMU 6 includes light industrial, so it is not consistent or compatible with the surrounding area, not a transition to the rural area, and not the intent of the Seffner Mango Community Plan. If approved, there is no control after the land receives its zoning. It could be sold and used for an even more intensive use. You just heard it all well said by the Planning Commission. So I will add that all those facts are part of my opposition to this rezoning. Thank you for the opportunity to try to protect our community plan. Please deny this rezoning request. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Pressman, you have an opportunity for rebuttal.
No.
You good? Okay. Planning Commission?
Yes, sir. Before Jillian provides the rezoning testimony, I just wanted to clarify for the record, plan amendments and rezonings are two separate items. Plan amendments are not something that we quote unquote choose not to review restrictions under. Plan amendments are not allowed to be conditioned. That is a legal requirement. Perhaps Joanna could expound on that if she felt the need to. But from my understanding, plan amendments change the future land use map permanently until another change is made. So we do not review restrictions. Now, we do review rezonings when they're companion like this in the same light. So we look at the future land use that is being requested. Can that rezoning be, is that rezoning consistent with the plan with regard to the request that's being made? But plan amendments themselves cannot be conditioned or restricted. So I wanted to be clear, that's not a choice that we're making. That's something that we're legally bound to.
All right, thank you for the clarification.
Jillian Massey with Planning Commission staff. The subject site currently is designated as Residential 6, pending a comprehensive plan amendment to Suburban Mixed Use 6. It's in the urban service area and within the limits of the Seffner Mingo Community Plan. The surrounding land use pattern is comprised mostly of single-family residential uses with scattered light commercial uses along Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. The proposed rezoning to allow contractors' offices with open storage does not align with the character of the surrounding area and present compatibility concerns given the nature of the area, which makes this inconsistent with future land use element Objective 16 and its accompanying policies relating to neighborhood protection. The northern boundary of the subject property is approximately 600 feet from the main corridor, and it encroaches into the established neighborhood to the north, inconsistent with future land use element policy 16.5. This policy direction calls for higher intensity non-residential land uses to be restricted to locations external to established and developing neighborhoods. The site is within the limits of the Seffner Mingo Community Plan. Goal 2 of the community plan seeks to enhance the community character and ensure quality residential and non-residential development. The rezoning and proposed use would allow for development that is not consistent with the comprehensive plan, as commercial intensive uses are currently not permitted. In the livable communities element under Goal 2 of the community plan, it says to support infill and redevelopment within the urban service area while providing for compatibility with existing uses. And the proposed use is not compatible. And based on these considerations, Planning Commission staff finds that the proposed rezoning is inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough Comprehensive Plan.
All right, thank you. Zoning Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered the proposed rezoning of the subject property, which consists of approximately 4.26 acres of unimproved land at 421 West Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Seffner. The property is designated Residential 6 on the future land use map and currently zoned commercial neighborhood and RDC 6. The applicant's request is to rezone the property to commercial intensive with restrictions offered by the applicant, limiting the uses to contractor's office with open storage with a maximum FAR of 0.30, as well as a number of restrictions related to the residential appearance of the architectural features of the structures. And those are specified specifically in the zoning hearing master report. Buffering and screening is also to be restricted with a 30-foot buffer adjacent to residential zonings and or uses, which is required to be provided. Existing forestation is required to stay in place where it exceeds code, and elsewhere the project shall be screened with type B standard evergreen trees placed 10 feet apart. Development Services Department staff found the adjacent zoning and development pattern, the required buffering and screening, and the proposed use restrictions to provide for appropriate mitigation for any potential impacts of the proposed rezoning. Staff found the rezoning request to be approvable, subject to the proposed restrictions. Additionally, transportation staff stated no objections. The transportation staff review report notes that the proposed zoning would generate substantially fewer daily trips than the allowed uses under the property's current zoning. The zoning hearing master referenced the Planning Commission's recommendation and finding of inconsistency. The zoning hearing master's recommendation was ultimately based on that finding with the Planning Commission staff and recommended denial of the rezoning.
All right, can we have a motion for CPA 2422?
Move for approval.
Got a motion, Commissioner Myers. Do we have a second?
Second.
Give a second, Commissioner Bowles. I don't see anyone in the queue. Please record your vote. CPA 2422.
Motion carried, 6-1. Commissioner Miller voted no.
All right, can we have a motion for the rezoning 241023?
Move approval.
Motion, Commissioner Cohen.
Second.
Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote.
Motion carried, 6-1. Commissioner Miller voted no.
All right, thank you. With that, we're adjourned.